Yo, JD here, Tyrrell Limitless, and as you can see, back on F1 2020 as always today. And in this video, we are going to be showing a full 25% race that I did. And this is with default setups, playing online against a very good grid. I know I probably say that every time, but whenever I do an open lobby, we do have the very, very sway people come and join in, and we're in the Williams equal cars. As I said, we're set to preset 4, and straight away we get an validation in the short quali. So I was really looking forward to trying to start somewhat near the front, but now with this, we're going to have to be starting at the back, and it was a good race. So I thought, why not decide to actually show you? And please, please, please let me know if you don't like these longer videos, if you want me to cut it up a bit more. A lot of people seem to enjoy seeing the full perspective, and I have to say I normally enjoy that as well, because it really gives me a good insight onto a full picture of how someone's race is going. So just let me know if you like this kind of format. If not, then I will make some adjustments in the future. But you can see that validation, that would have put us on pole by 2/10 in the end. And the difference between a setup and not having a setup here is around a second or so, I'd say, going around this track. So quite substantial. And yes, so now we're going to have to try and get back through this field. You can see quite a lot of very, very fast people in here. So we're going to start on the medium tyres in the Williams. Probably my favourite car to use on equal cars, which is a whole entirely different video itself. But we're going to start on the mediums, try and do this alternate strategy, get a pretty good start straight away here. Most people still elect to go and stop. We're going between two people, but just about surviving as the Haas goes off. I always try and go around the outside here, but there's nowhere really to go. And now I'm boxed in between a Red Bull and someone else. So I'm going to still put my car between two cars, because that will stop me from spinning out as the Alpha Red Bull go off the track. And we've only gained one position as the Renault spins round. Then Sparks has actually disconnected. So
we've made up some positions.
P18, we're up into P15 now. So far, not too bad of a start here. Important that I get past my teammate MJ Povey, who I race with on a regular basis. Important to get past him as soon as I possibly can, because obviously pit stops are going to be quite important. Telling Jeff to keep quiet here. Going through the old turn 1. Very easy to go out wide here, as my teammate does, so that's probably going to be an invalidation. And as I said before, we're all running the same setup here, or most people should be running the same setup, so it's completely on default as the Alpha Tauri spins around. I see this as an opportunity to try and gain some momentum coming off onto the hangar straight here. It's going 3 wide at the moment with Fire Dolphin, another person who's a bit of a regular, trying to go around the outside of my teammate, and we're making a little bit of contact, more than I would have liked, as we go down the inside, leaving some room on the inside. And now we're up into P12. So not a bad first lap by any means or stretch. So right here now, I'm just thinking about trying to maintain my fuel and the ERS as much as possible. That's always a number one thought in my mind when I'm doing any race. And again, I've said this countless of times, but doing races such as this, although it's not a league race, it's still very, very good practice for a league race too. So I try and do these races as if this was everything on the line here. So coming through into this corner, was thinking about going down the inside here, but decided to think better of it. By the exit, he gets a very bad exit, and we just run into the back of him, losing a position. We're actually going to fight this Red Bull to try and stay ahead here. So we just lost a lot of time, a lot of momentum there, which is definitely not what we wanted. And now we are back behind my teammate once again. But
so annoying.
Like I said there, nothing really too much you could do. So now we're going to try and flex our pace and show how much speed we do have, because Silverstone probably is my favourite track to drive on the game. Throughout all the F1 games, I just really, really enjoy driving around this circuit. Although I don't think I've actually won a league race around here. I think on 2013, maybe 14 I have, but it's been a long time since I won a league race. I've always been in a good position but something is usually always happened as we get a track invalidation. So starting lap 3 here, up into P10, because I think a few people have pitted. It's quite crucial that, again, I get past my teammate as soon as I possibly can. You can see the leaders are a little bit away at this point, but I know the soft tyre is going to be very, very strong at the end here. So not going to make the overtake go down the straight because he has got the DRS on the car ahead. So I'm really going to try and think about potentially into this right-hander. I really like to take a very tight line, which has worked out very, very well. There's a little bit of the overtake once again, and we've got the move done pretty nicely. We're going to try and mount an attack on the Racing Point as well, who's deciding not to defend this. So pretty much almost a free position, and now we're up into P8, the current lead medium runner here, as I decide to box this lap. So we're going to box very, very early because the soft tyres are very, very durable around this circuit and very fast as well. They don't really lose that much pace, and they are really just a quicker tyre throughout the majority of the race distance itself. So we're going to go into the pits at the end of this lap, coming in now, spotting the braking point pretty nicely as we hit the safety, well, the pit lane lines. My teammate has actually come in as well, which I don't really understand because it's quite obvious when someone is going into the pits, and I think I made it quite obvious as well. But he is going to try and double stack, which is just going to cost him a lot of time, but not really going to affect us as we are going into the last pit box in the pit lane here in the Williams. Very good car to use in league racing because it saves you getting held most of the time, and we've actually jumped someone as well, again proving the benefit of being in the Williams, which this whole pit lane thing definitely needs to be sorted out because a lot of people, especially in esports, really do suffer this. So coming out of the pits now, these guys have actually pitted for the mediums up ahead and behind, so they pitted very early for that. I probably would have continued a lot longer on that soft tyre, but now we're going to be on the faster compound towards the end of the race here, going to try and get past this McLaren as soon as we possibly can here. So we're not going to waste any of the ERS at this point in time. I was really hoping you'd try and keep a good pace going up into Maggotts and Beckett's, but we get a pretty decent exit coming off this corner, and I attempted to do what I did to the Racing Point, but I could tell he's using a little bit of the overtake button, so he's gone a little bit defensive. So on the exit, we're going to use a little bit of the overtake, a little bit more. He's still going to try and fight this going into Maggotts and Beckett's, but in the end, the soft compound proves too much, and we're going to get a very good exit coming off this corner. And you can see the amount of time he's already lost through the dirty air and the difference in the tyre compound.
Can't afford to waste time.
It's a big misconception that around this track you want to be the car behind going through Maggotts and Beckett's, especially on the last lap when the dirty air is very significant going through there, as VRT Lily has set the fastest lap of the race. So now we're going to start our first proper lap on these tyres, just pushing the overtake a little bit more just to make sure we get a bit of an undercut, which I think we have on at least a couple of cars. The car's up ahead now. Sparks, I think, has disconnected, but it's FRA Linus 3.3 seconds ahead, so we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that gap, as now I'm still continuing to push a little bit more, but just making sure I do save a little bit of the ERS in reserve just in case I do catch up to some people, as we do a purple first sector. So far so good, and you can see already we've actually gained over 4 tenths just in that first sector to Linus, and the guys behind just 2.4 seconds behind. So coming through into the old Tel 1 Sparks disconnected, a little bit annoying, as we almost, well, we didn't almost, but it can put you off and give you a little bit of dirty air. Going from Maggotts and Beckett's, my favourite sequence of corners on the F1 game. Absolutely love this. In the default setting, or the default setup, you have to go down to 5th gear there, whereas normally it would be staying in 7th and then just going down to 6th. See a little bit of battling going on up ahead here, as I think Linus, I don't know what's happened to him. He was 3 or 2.8 ahead. I'm not quite sure what's happened to him there. Going through into this last chicane. Current here is VRT Lee 27.5. Let's see what we do. We do a 26.9, so 6 tenths faster than anyone at the moment, and we didn't push particularly super hard on the lap as MJ Povey responds with a 26.6. So coming through into here now, we're trying to close in on these cars as much as we can. We've got AMS Hero behind, who's a very quick driver. He's on the medium set of tyres here, who's got the DRS right now. So we're not going to do any of the ERS right here. I'm going to try and shake him off as much as I possibly can. But once we come up to traffic, it should be quite easy to try and get him off the DRS tail behind. It's coming off through here. See, we gained a little bit more time, and the gap is about 2.1 seconds to BHRL Jesse, who again is another very fast driver, but a bit of a slow motion here because we had a couple of stabs at the steering wheel, which has resulted to me getting a 3-second time penalty. The preset setup is just very, very understeery. No, that corner with a normal setup is not even a corner really. It's very, very easy to take, but in these settings, it's actually quite difficult. And you can see if you don't commit to your line and you try and take that flat out, then that's where you run into problems. But the good thing is, quite a few people up ahead also have a penalty here. But AMS Hero is actually hanging on quite well for now. So I'm going to try and get in the DRS zone of BHRL Jesse. You can see how much we've actually caught him this lap. We've caught him a lot on this lap here. So I'm using the rest of my ERS. Probably wondering why I'm doing that, and that's because I want to get in his DRS zone. And we actually get out ahead of a racing point as well, so that was actually quite important. You can see we're well within the DRS zone here now. It's quite easy to recover the ERS around here, so I wasn't afraid of pushing it too much. You can see here now we've got a car between myself and Hero. As the car behind, you can see he has got the DRS, and he's probably using a little bit of the overtake. But I can see the Red Bull up ahead doesn't have the DRS on any car, so I know he's probably going to be a little bit of a sitting duck down this main straight. So coming off here, I don't have to use any of the battery power or anything at all. There really is just no need at this point of the race. So coming through here, I'm going to try and take it flat out this time, which I do. It's not easy with this default setup, but you can see the racing point on those fresh mediums is looking pretty racy behind. But I know going through here, he's definitely going to be losing some time with the dirty air. And coming off this corner, you can see how much time he has lost with the dirty air. I wasn't going to use any of the overtake button, and I can see his red light is flashing now. So again, there is no point really, any point me trying to force this overtake right now, because I know he's going to be quite slow going down the straights. And if anything, he's just dragging me along here now, because we actually are starting to gain a little bit of time up onto the car's head. And we are in P5 here, so far it's been a really, really good comeback, despite actually having a little incident on the second lap of the race. Going through in this section, I'm just going to try and be as close as I possibly can. Ideally, I don't want to use any of the ERS, but I will probably be using some just to ensure that the move gets done, because I know he's probably going to fight this ever so much a little bit. So we don't get a great exit. That means I'm going to have to use a little bit of the overtake button. And I can see here now his red light is flashing, so I decided to turn it off. We have to try and make this move stick. Go around the outside, try and get the inside for the right-hander, and just with the grip and the line he's taken, quite a simple move in the end. But I can see now he's going to try and fight this back as much as possible, and he's going to make it wide, make us go side by side. So this is actually costing us both time, which I really don't want, because I really want to try and catch the leaders on these set of tyres. A 4-second gap or 3.2-second gap up ahead. That's going to be a little bit of an ask here, but we are going to stay on board just to see how much progress we do make. And you can see again, that dirty air is very, very powerful going around that sequence of corners. So I don't even need to use any of the overtake button to try and defend this. But you can see we've also managed to save quite a bit of the fuel, so we can afford to go and rich for the majority of this last stint now. So you can see, we'll pay attention to that gap up ahead. The gap to Lily has actually dropped under 4 seconds now. And you can see the gap is now 2.9 to TTM in third place. So again, we're going to try and catch this group without using as much ERS as possible, because I can see they're starting to fight here. So I'm just going to try and do my best to just try and get onto the back of them, and then have some ammunition to actually use. I'm going to use a little bit of the overtake here now, just to make sure I try and get out of the DRS zone of the cars behind. So completely forget what I just said, because this race was done a little while ago. I'm going to try and break the DRS of the car behind, because I know if he stays within my DRS, then I'm probably going to have to spend more time using my ERS to defend against him than I would just try and catch the cars up ahead. But you can see, as a result of us pushing, we are actually gaining quite a lot of time up on the cars ahead. So the pace is looking very, very nice at this stage of the race. I think he will just about be in the DRS zone, which he is. But I think through these sequence of corners, you can see the gap is going over 1 second now, and the gap is about 1.1 seconds. So we're going to use pretty much the remainder of our ERS, and you can see again how much time we have gained. We have gained so much time on the leaders. So the soft tyres are still working at a very, very nice pace so far in this race here. So I'm going to try and get in the DRS zone as quick as I possibly can whilst these tyres are still in pretty good condition. So going across the line, we do a 27.0, only a tenth off our best here, and we're about 9 tenths away from getting into all vital DRS zones. So going through it here, let's see what the delta is saying. 1.9 seconds at the moment, as I think it is. No, it hasn't frozen. I thought it did freeze for a second. He's going to have the DRS on the cars up ahead, so I expect that gap
save the ERS
to go up a little bit. As we say, we're trying to save a little bit of the ERS now, so I'm just hoping that these cars really try and bunch up a little bit. I'm still out of the DRS zone of the car behind, which is definitely crucial. Means I can just look forward rather than myself being under pressure. You can see the tyres are only on 24%, so they're still
battle at the front.
In a very, very nice condition at this stage of the race. Going completely flat out through the old turn 1.
Battle, please.
The gap has stayed about 1.9 seconds, but I would expect through this sequence of corners, this is where I'm going to be gaining quite a bit of the time here. And you can see we have gained that time, but someone has gone off. Someone has completely gone off there. I think that was TTM, the guy I was talking about. He has got off now, so now we are into a podium position, but we do have a 3-second time penalty. AMS Hero, who did come out behind us, you can see the benefit of us going through that traffic. We managed to pull quite a big gap on him. We've only got 3 attempts to go until we are clear of that position that we're going to be losing. But now I'm going to try and get within the DRS zone of these 2 cars ahead, hoping that they start the battle, which is, you can hear, that's what I'm kind of hoping for at this stage in the race. So got no pressure from behind, everything all up ahead now, and I'm really relying on the Ferrari and Lily to start battling, and I think that's exactly what they are going to start doing. So the gap is about 1.7 seconds now. Still 7 attempts to find, but hopefully through the corners, this is where I can gain the speed and also saving the fuel as well. Very, very important. So the gap is now 1.6 now, using just a little bit just to try and catch them as much as I possibly can. I really want to try and get in the DRS zone on the very next lap, as my teammate, I think, is actually pitted for another set of tyres with the 26.1. Going through the sequence of corners, gap is 1.5. Let's see what it is. You can see it's coming down very, very quickly here, as I think now Lily is now going to make the overtake here, which is good for me, because it's just going to slow them up ever so much more. We're going to keep it in standard mix here, probably could just keep it in standard and rich for the rest of this race. Coming through into chicane, but we actually put it down to lean, and we've been doing that throughout the race as well, just to try and keep the engine as cool as we possibly can. So this is very good. I have to make sure I'm in this DRS zone here now, so I'm just keeping an eye on that top left hand part of the screen here. I think we're comfortably going to be within that DRS zone. So going through into here, trying to get as close as I possibly can. The gap is over 3 seconds behind now, so unless these guys have a very, very big drop off in pace, I think it's going to be a very good drive to come from P18 up into the top 3 here. So a very, very nice drive so far. Ferrari was thinking about it. Coming through into here, I'm just thinking ahead to the next lap now. If I could get one of these cars, if I could get the Ferrari before the last lap, that would be perfect. But I know it's probably going to be very, very hard for me to do that, because he's got the DRS on the Mercedes up in front. So again, I'm just going to do my best. These guys don't have penalties as well, but I'm just really doing this for pride, to be honest, at this stage here. So you can see how much time we gain going through Maggots and Beckett's. Not going to use any of the overtake button here, because there really is just no point. I was hoping that Ferrari would maybe have a go, but he's a little bit too far back, starting to encounter that dirty air that we always talk about. But coming on to this last lap, we are going to be almost at 40% here, just shy of it, 39% side for lap. So it's not too bad, but it's probably going to be a big effort to try and overtake both of these cars. But you never know what kind of position they are in with the ERS, and you can see the car behind is now 5.3 seconds behind, so a big drop off. The car behind is going side by side here, so I was thinking about trying to get a good exit. Not going to happen on this occasion, and I recognise I'm not going to be close enough, so I'm going to try and save all of my ERS down this back straight. If they are both super low, then I could be gaining a very big straight line speed advantage going down the Hangar straight. So just trying to stay as close as I possibly can coming through into here as Martin. And I now decide to use the overtake because I was hoping I would try and catch him a little bit napping, so I'd have the DRS for Liddy up ahead, but sadly wasn't the case. So we're going to try and just tuck right underneath his gearbox here, keeping it in the rich mix. Still got about 33% of the ERS, so I'm going to try and sacrifice this corner, try and get a good exit of here. We do get a very good exit of here using the rest of our overtake button. And we are going to be side by side with Ferrari, but the straight is just not long enough to try and get past Liddy as well. His red light is flashing tube here, and we're going to try and defend from the Ferrari, get another extension here, but it is not going to be enough. Coming through into the last chicane, if we had one more lap, we could have maybe just done it, but nonetheless, I was actually very happy with that drive, and a very good comeback.
See how far back
against a very competitive grid. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if you do enjoy showing the full race. It's something I feel it definitely would have been beneficial to me. So again, give it a thumbs up if you like it. Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell notification, and as always, thank you so much for the support. I will catch you very soon. Peace.